What happens when a peaceful town is thrust into the grip of a chilling mystery? When an ordinary evening takes a sinister turn and an entire community is left searching for answers. Welcome to Crime and Mystery Cases, where we explore the most perplexing and haunting true crime stories from around the world. Today, we delve into the baffling disappearance of Olivia Walker, a case that still sends shivers down the spines of those who remember it. Brooksville was a quiet town where everyone knew everyone. It was the kind of place where doors were rarely locked and children played freely in the streets. Olivia Walker was one of Brooksville's own, a beloved schoolteacher known for her warmth and dedication. Olivia had a loving family, many friends, and a bright future ahead. But on the night of August 14, 2018, everything changed. Olivia attended a faculty meeting that evening, a routine part of her job. She left the school around 9:45 p.m. and was expected home by 10 p.m. But she never arrived. Her car was discovered the next morning on a desolate road, just a few miles from her house. The engine was still running, her purse was inside, but Olivia was gone. The mystery of her disappearance began to unfold. The police were immediately called to the scene. They found no signs of a struggle, no evidence of a crime, and no witnesses. It was as if Olivia had vanished into thin air. Olivia's usual route home was straightforward: a drive down Main Street, onto Route 6, and then a few turns to her house. But her car was found on Route 12, a detour that puzzled investigators. Why would she take this unfamiliar road? Olivia's change of route was perplexing. It wasn't on her way home, and there was no reason for her to be there. We had to consider the possibility that she was either being followed or led astray. As the investigation began, the police explored every possible angle. Was Olivia running from someone? Or was she lured away by someone she knew and trusted? The entire town of Brooksville rallied together to search for Olivia. Volunteers combed through the woods, divers searched nearby lakes, and flyers were posted everywhere. But days turned into weeks, and there was still no trace of her. The search for Olivia Walker has entered its third week, with no significant leads. The community is growing more desperate by the day. The lack of evidence and the growing frustration led to numerous theories. Some believed Olivia had been kidnapped. Others thought she might have run away, but those who knew her found that hard to believe. Among Olivia's belongings, investigators found her diary. It revealed a side of her life that no one knew. She wrote about being followed, feeling watched, and a sense of impending doom. August 10th. I feel like someone is watching me. Wherever I go, I can't shake the feeling. Is it paranoia? Or is someone really out there? With this new information, the investigation took a new turn. Who was stalking Olivia? And why? Olivia mentioned a man who would show up at the school sometimes. She said he gave her the creeps, but she never thought much of it. Now, I wonder if he had something to do with this. The police began looking into Olivia's interactions and found a name: Mark Thompson, a man with a troubled past who had recently moved to Brooksville. Mark was brought in for questioning. He denied any involvement and had an alibi for the night Olivia disappeared. But something about his demeanor left detectives uneasy. Detective John Harris. Thompson had an alibi, but there were inconsistencies in his story. We couldn't hold him without more evidence, but he remained a person of interest. As the weeks turned into months, the case grew colder. The town of Brooksville was left with more questions than answers. A year later, Olivia's family held a vigil to keep her memory alive and to remind the community that the search for answers was far from over. We won't give up hope. Someone knows something, and we pray that they come forward. The case of Olivia Walker remains one of the most haunting mysteries in Brooksville's history. A vibrant life cut short by an unknown hand, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. As the media frenzy grew, Several independent investigators and true crime enthusiasts took an interest in Olivia's case. They scoured through every available detail, hoping to uncover something the police might have missed. One such investigator was Rachel Miller, a retired detective known for her work on cold cases. She believed that the key to solving Olivia's disappearance lay in understanding her last few days. Rachel Miller, Olivia's diary entries suggest she felt threatened, but there wasn't enough to pinpoint exactly who was behind it. I decided to retrace her steps, talk to her friends, and dig deeper into her life. Rachel started with Olivia's colleagues at the school. Several teachers mentioned seeing a man loitering near the school grounds in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. Teacher interview 1, he was just there. I remember seeing him a few times, always just standing around, watching. It made some of us uneasy, but we didn't think much of it. Teacher interview 2, Olivia mentioned him once. She said he gave her a weird vibe, but she laughed it off. Looking back, I wish we had taken it more seriously. Rachel compiled these sightings and cross-referenced them with known individuals in Brooksville. One name kept coming up: Mark Thompson. Rachel Miller. Thompson had a history of harassment and stalking in his previous town. When I learned about his past, I knew we had to dig deeper into his whereabouts on the night Olivia disappeared. Rachel's investigation led her to Thompson's former neighbors and acquaintances. They painted a picture of a troubled man with a tendency to fixate on women who showed him kindness. Neighbor interview: Mark was always a bit off. He kept to himself mostly, but there were rumors. A few women in the neighborhood had issues with him. He didn't take rejection well. Despite Rachel's findings, Thompson's alibi for the night of Olivia's disappearance seemed solid. He claimed to have been at a bar until closing, corroborated by the bartender and several patrons. I knew the alibi had holes. It was too convenient. But without more evidence, it was hard to challenge it. I kept looking for any discrepancy that could break his story. Rachel's persistence paid off when she discovered a traffic camera near Route 12 that had captured a blurry image of a car matching Thompson's. The timestamp placed him near the area where Olivia's car was found, contradicting his alibi. This new piece of evidence reopened the investigation. Detectives re-interviewed Thompson, this time confronting him with the footage. Under pressure, his story began to unravel. Detective John Harris. Thompson couldn't explain why his car was on Route 12 that night. His nervousness and inconsistencies led us to believe he was hiding something. The breakthrough came when a former acquaintance of Thompson's came forward. She revealed that Thompson had confided in her about a girl who wouldn't leave him alone. A story eerily similar to Olivia's situation. Acquaintance interview: he was obsessed with her. He kept saying she was leading him on, even though it was clear she wasn't interested. He sounded unhinged. With this new testimony, the police obtained a search warrant for Thompson's property. What they found was disturbing. In the basement, they discovered a hidden room filled with photographs of Olivia, personal items stolen from her, and disturbing journal entries detailing his obsession. Detective John Harris. It was a shrine to his obsession. We found items that only someone close to Olivia would have access to. This was the evidence we needed to arrest him. Thompson was arrested and charged with the abduction and presumed murder of Olivia Walker. Despite extensive searches, Olivia's body was never found, leaving her family without closure. A year later, Olivia's family held a vigil to keep her memory alive and to remind the community that the search for answers was far from over. Olivia's mother: we won't give up hope. Someone knows something, and we pray that they come forward. The case of Olivia Walker remains one of the most haunting mysteries in Brooksville's history. A vibrant life cut short by an unknown hand, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Even today, detectives revisit the case, hoping that one day, a new lead will emerge, and Olivia's story will finally be told in full. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay curious.